The smell of expensive whiskey and sandalwood filled the hall when Amara stepped out of her quarters. She'd chosen red. Crimson, actually. The kind of red that demanded to be seen. Silk that clung to curves she'd spent 3 years hiding beneath shapeless black uniforms and aprons that swallowed her whole. Her hands trembled as she smoothed the fabric over her hips. The mansion was never quiet. Security radios crackled somewhere in the West Wing. Kitchen staff clattered dishes 2 floors down. The hum of power thrummed through marble and glass like a sleeping beast's heartbeat. But when her heels clicked against the floor, sharp, deliberate, unfamiliar, everything stopped. She felt eyes before she saw them. Guards stationed at the main staircase. Their gazes dropped, then snapped away. One whispered something in rapid Korean. The other's hand tightened on his weapon. Amara's pulse hammered against her ribs. Just walk. Keep walking. You're allowed to have a life. 3 years she'd been invisible in this house. 3 years scrubbing floors that cost more than her mother's funeral. 3 years watching Chairman Jang Taehyun move through his empire like death in a tailored suit. Untouchable, unreachable, uninterested in anyone beneath his blood-soaked hierarchy. She was the help. He was the nightmare Korea whispered about after dark. And tonight, she was leaving. The parlor door stood open. Soft jazz drifted out. Coltrane, always Coltrane when he was alone. Amber light spilled across black marble. She should have taken the servant's exit. Should have slipped out the back like she'd planned. But something pulled her forward. Maybe it was 3 years of being nothing. Maybe it was the red dress that made her feel like someone. She stepped into the doorway. Chairman Jang stood at the bar with his back to her, pouring whiskey into crystal that caught the light like captured fire. His suit jacket hung on a nearby chair. White shirt rolled to his elbows. Dark hair falling forward as he tilted the bottle with the precision of a man who controlled everything. Liquor, empires, lives. The music wrapped around them both. Amara's breath caught. Turn around. Please don't turn around. He turned around. The bottle stopped mid-pour. His eyes, black, sharp, the kind that cut through lies and bones with equal efficiency, locked onto her face. Then dropped. Slowly, deliberately, down her throat, across her collarbones, over the red silk that suddenly felt like it was burning against her skin, down her legs, to the heels that made her almost tall enough to meet his gaze without feeling like prey. Then back up. The glass in his hand cracked. Not shattered, just cracked. A single fracture line splitting down the center as his fingers tightened around crystal that had survived decades of his family's violence. Whiskey leaked between his knuckles. He didn't look away from her. Didn't blink. The air in the room turned to glass. "Where are you going?" His voice came out low, measured, deadly calm. Dressed like that. Not Chairman Jang. Not the composed king of Seoul's underworld who negotiated billion-won deals and ordered executions with the same flat tone. This voice had teeth. Amara's mouth went dry. Her voice cracked. She steadied it. "I have plans tonight, Chairman." Plans. He set the broken glass down. Whiskey pooled on mahogany that cost more than most people earned in a year. He didn't move toward her. Somehow that was worse. "What kind of plans require my maid to walk through my house looking like?" He stopped. His jaw worked. Something flickered behind his eyes that she'd never seen before. Hunger. Raw. Unfiltered. Dangerous. Like that, he finished. The word made hit different in his mouth. Like he was tasting it for the first time and finding it wrong. Amara lifted her chin. 3 years of silence. 3 years of yes, Chairman, and right away, Chairman, and folding herself into corners so he wouldn't notice her breathing. Tonight, she had 50,000 won saved. A taxi waiting 3 blocks away. A cousin in Busan who promised work at a restaurant far from Seoul's blood-soaked streets. Tonight, she was getting out. A date, she said. The temperature dropped. Chairman Jang went completely still. The kind of still that came before violence. Before men disappeared. Before entire families learned what happened when someone touched what belonged to him. "A date," he repeated. "Yes." "With who?" It wasn't a question. "Someone I met." "Who?" His voice cut through Coltrane like a blade through silk. Amara's fingers twisted in her purse strap. "His name is Min Jae. We've been talking for a few weeks." "He? How? What? How have you been talking to him?" each word precise. Controlled. You work 16-hour days in my house. You eat here. Sleep here. When exactly have you been conducting this secret fucking courtship under my roof? The curse landed like a slap. Chairman Jiang never cursed. Never lost composure. Never looked at her like he was deciding between kissing her and killing the man she just named. I have 1 day off a week, Amara said quietly. I'm allowed to. You're allowed what I say you're allowed. The words hung between them. His eyes widened slightly, like he'd surprised himself. Like something had crawled out of his chest that he didn't know lived there. Amara took a step back. His hand shot up. Don't. She froze. Don't, he said again, softer. Rougher. Don't move. He crossed the room. 5 steps. 5 seconds where Amara's heart stopped and restarted and stopped again. He stopped inches away. Close enough that she could smell his cologne. Something dark and expensive that she'd washed from his shirts 1,000 times. Close enough to see the muscle jumping in his jaw. Close enough that when he spoke, his breath touched her face. You walk out of here in that dress. His voice dropped to gravel. And every man who looks at you tonight dies. Every single one. Do you understand me? Amara couldn't breathe. I'm not. I don't belong to you. Don't you? His eyes bored into hers. Searching for something. Finding it. The admission she'd buried for 3 years. The way her hands shook when she poured his morning coffee. The way she memorized his schedule so she could see him without being seen. The way she'd chosen this dress hoping, God help her, that maybe he'd notice. I've watched you, he said quietly, for 3 years. Did you know that? Her breath caught. I know you count heartbeats when you're anxious. 3 beats. Pause. 3 beats. I know you read poetry in the garden when you think no one's watching. I know you sing in Yoruba when you clean the library and you think the house is empty. Heat flooded her face. I know you deserve better than this life. Better than me. Better than the blood on every surface you scrub clean. His hand lifted, stopped, hovered near her face without touching. And I know the man you're meeting tonight isn't who he says he is. I shot down her spine. What? Min-jae. The name left his mouth like poison. Lee Min-jae. Member of the Champa faction. The same organization that tried to kill me last month. The same men who bombed my warehouse in Incheon. Amara shook her head. No. He works in finance. He's never mentioned. He's using you to get to me. The words cracked something open inside her chest. You're lying. I don't lie. His voice gentled. Became almost human. I sent my men to verify him the day you first smiled at your phone during breakfast service. The day I realized someone was making you happy. Someone who wasn't me. Amara's vision blurred. So this whole time, I was protecting you from a threat you didn't know existed. Yes. Or controlling me. His jaw clenched. Both. At least he was honest. I have to go, she whispered. He's waiting. He's waiting. Chairman Jiang's hand finally touched her, fingers curling around her wrist. Gentle. Possessive. He's waiting to put a bullet in my skull using you as bait. And you're going to walk into that trap because you wore a red dress and wanted to feel like someone finally saw you. Tears burned her eyes. Let me go. No. Let me go. Not until you understand. His other hand came up, cupped her face, tilted her chin until she had to look at him. That the only reason you're still breathing is because you matter to me. The only reason Min-jae is still breathing is because killing him before tonight would have tipped him off. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. But he invited you out. Put you in danger. Made you wear this dress for him. His eyes dropped to her lips. And now, he whispered, I'm going to kill everyone who ever thought they could touch what's mine. The mansion's lights cut out. Emergency generators kicked in. Red light bathed everything. The parlor, his face, her dress that suddenly looked like blood. Gunfire erupted from the east wing. Chairman Jiang's expression didn't change. He'd been expecting this. Stay here, he said. Then he was gone. The music kept playing. Coltrane's saxophone filling the space where his warmth had been. And Amara stood alone in a red dress that had just started a war. Notice how you're still here? You're different from the ones who already clicked away. People like you subscribe. So, why haven't you? The gunfire stopped. Silence rushed back like water filling a drowning man's lungs. Amara pressed herself against the parlor wall, heart slamming against her ribs so hard She thought it might crack through bone. 3 beats. Pause. 3 beats. Her breathing wouldn't steady. Red emergency lights painted everything the color of warning. The Coltrane record skipped, same 3 notes over and over, a broken loop that matched the chaos in her chest. Footsteps echoed in the hall. Heavy, military precise. Not Chairman Jiang's measured stride. Clear the west wing. Bodies in the garden. For hostiles down. Chairman wants the perimeter locked. No one in or out. Korean words clipped and cold. Security protocols she'd heard during drills, but never thought she'd experience while wearing a dress that cost 3 months' salary. I should have worn black. Should have stayed invisible. Should have known better than to want something. The door opened. Amara's breath stopped. But it wasn't Chairman Jiang. Ji-woo, head of household security, a woman whose face looked carved from the same marble as the floors she protected, stepped inside. Her suit was immaculate despite the violence that had just torn through the East Wing. Blood spattered her collar. Not hers. You're unharmed. Statement, not question. Amara nodded. Good. Ji-woo's eyes flicked to the red dress. Something like sympathy crossed her features. Chairman wants you moved to the safe room until. I'm not staying here. The words came out stronger than Amara felt. Ji-woo's expression hardened. That wasn't a request. I don't work for him tonight. It's my day off. I'm leaving. You're leaving. Ji-woo laughed, short, sharp, humorless. You think those gates are opening for anyone after what just happened? You think Chairman Jiang is letting you walk out of here after? She stopped. Studied Amara with the intensity of someone reading a threat assessment. You really don't know, do you? Know what? What you are to him. Heat flooded Amara's face. I'm his maid. You were his maid 3 hours ago. Ji-woo stepped closer. Her voice dropped. Now you're the reason 8 men just died trying to breach this compound. You're the reason he had surveillance on a low-level Chongpa operative for 6 weeks. You're the reason, she paused. He cracked crystal with his bare hand. I've known him 15 years. I've never seen him crack. Amara's throat tightened. This isn't my fault. No, it's his. Ji-woo's tone softened. But you're the one wearing the target now. So safe room. Now, we can argue about employment status when people stop trying to kill you. The record player finally gave up. Silence swallowed everything. Amara followed Ji-woo through marble halls that used to feel like a museum. Beautiful, cold, untouchable. Now they felt like a mausoleum. Every shadow held threat. Every corner could hide violence. They passed the staff kitchen. Empty. The other maids had been evacuated or sent to their quarters. Protocol during security breaches. Amara had studied the manual her first week. Never thought she'd need it for anything except memorization. How many came? She asked. 12. We neutralized 8. 4 escaped. People died. Bad people died. Ji-woo's hand rested on the weapon at her hip. The kind who put bombs in cars and traffic children and use women like chess pieces. And Chairman Jiang? Ji-woo glanced back. Is hunting the ones who got away. The safe room was behind the library, a space Amara knew intimately. She dusted every shelf, organized books by language and era, spent stolen lunch breaks reading poetry collections she couldn't afford to own. Chairman Jiang had noticed once. 6 months ago, she'd been curled in the window seat with Rumi. English translation, worn spine, margin notes and handwriting she didn't recognize. Sunlight had streamed through bulletproof glass. For 10 minutes, she'd forgotten she was property. Then his voice. That was my mother's. Amara had dropped the book, scrambled to stand, bowed, apologized in 3 languages. He'd picked up the book, smoothed the pages she'd bent. His fingers had brushed the same words she'd been reading. Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray. She wrote those notes, he'd said quietly, before she understood what my father really was. Before she stopped believing love could exist in houses like this. He'd handed the book back. Keep it. She would have wanted someone to read it who still believes. Then he'd left. Amara had stood there for 20 minutes, holding his mother's book, feeling the weight of something she couldn't name. Now Ji-woo pressed her palm to a biometric scanner hidden behind a bookshelf. The wall opened. Inside, the safe room was exactly what it sounded like, reinforced steel disguised as luxury. leather chairs, mini bar, communications equipment. Enough supplies to survive a siege. Amara stepped inside. How long? Until chairman says otherwise. And if I refuse? Jiwoo's expression went flat. Then I sedate you and carry you in. Your choice. The door sealed with a hiss. Amara was alone again. She sank into a chair, kicked off the heels that had started this nightmare. The red dress suddenly felt obscene, like she'd worn a Target and called it fashion. What have I done? Her phone buzzed. She pulled it from her purse with shaking hands. Min-jae, where are you? I'm at the restaurant. Everything okay? Her stomach turned. Member of the Champa faction. Using you to get to me. Was it true? Or was Chairman Jang paranoid and possessive and unwilling to let even his staff have lives outside his control? She thought about Min-jae. They'd met at a coffee shop 4 blocks from the compound. She'd been reading Achebi, Things Fall Apart, during her one precious day off. He'd commented on the book, said his literature professor had assigned it in university. He was handsome, kind, asked questions about her life that didn't feel invasive, never asked about her employer, never seemed curious about the mansion she returned to every Sunday night. Oh God, Chairman Jang had been right. The phone buzzed again. Min-jae, Amara? I'm worried. Text me back. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. What did she say? Sorry, can't make it. My boss is a mafia king who thinks you're trying to kill him and also maybe wants me for himself even though I'm just the help. Another buzz. Unknown number. Answer him. Tell him you're running late. Tell him you'll be there in 30 minutes. Amara's blood went cold. Unknown number. This is Chairman Jang. Jiwoo gave me your number for emergencies. This qualifies. Amara, you want me to lie to him? Chairman Jang, I want you to bait a trap. He's been tracked to the restaurant. 4 of his associates are positioned within 2 blocks. They're waiting for you. Amara, and if I don't? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Chairman Jang, then I kill him now, and you'll always wonder if I was wrong. If he really cared about you. If there was a chance you could have had the normal life you deserve. Her hands shook. Chairman Jang, or you trust me. Text him. I'll bring you to the restaurant under protection. If I'm wrong, if he's innocent, I'll let you walk away. I'll release you from employment with 6 months severance and a reference to work anywhere in Seoul that isn't here. Amara, and if you're right, Chairman Jang, then you'll watch me save your life. And you'll understand why I've spent 3 years making sure nothing in this world could ever hurt you. Amara closed her eyes, counted heartbeats. 3 beats. Pause. 3 beats. She typed, Amara, to Min-jae, so sorry. Emergency at work. I'm coming now. 30 minutes. Wait for me. The response came instantly. Min-jae, of course. Can't wait to see you. Red heart. The heart emoji felt like glass in her chest. Amara, to Chairman Jang, done. Chairman Jang, Jiwoo will bring you a coat. Cover the dress. And Amara? Amara, yes? Chairman Jang, I'm sorry it has to be like this. The door opened. Jiwoo held a long black coat. Let's go. Where is he? Preparing to make very bad men regret their life choices. Amara stood. Let Jiwoo help her into the coat that swallowed her red dress like shame. Jiwoo. Yes. Has he ever been wrong? About threats. The security chief's expression softened almost imperceptibly. Once, 7 years ago, a business partner he trusted. Turned out the man was stealing from him. Chairman gave him a chance to confess. What happened? The man tried to kill him instead. Chairman's been operating on the assumption that everyone lies ever since. Jiwoo adjusted Amara's collar. Except you. What? You're the first person in this house he watches with something other than suspicion. Jiwoo's eyes held hers. That's why this scares him. That's why he cracked the glass. Men like Chairman Jang don't know how to protect things they care about without breaking them first. The words landed like prophecy. I don't want to be broken. Then don't let him. Jiwoo opened the door. Teach him there's a difference between possession and love. They moved through the mansion, past guards stationed at every entrance, past windows that showed gardens where bodies had fallen and been removed with the efficiency of men who'd done this 1,000 times, past the parlor where everything had changed. The broken glass still sat on the bar. Amara looked away. A convoy waited in the circular drive, 3 black SUVs with tinted windows and armor plating that probably cost more than her entire life. The middle vehicle's door opened. Chairman Zhang stepped out. He'd changed. Black tactical clothing that made him look less like a businessman and more like the weapon everyone whispered he was. Blood spattered his hands. Cleaned but not quite gone. Dark crescents under his nails. His eyes found hers. Softened. Hardened again when he saw the coat hiding her dress. "We don't have much time," he said. "They're getting nervous. Min-jae has called you twice more. And you want me to walk into a restaurant surrounded by men who want to kill you?" "No." He stepped closer. "I want you to walk into a restaurant surrounded by my men who will die before they let anyone touch you. There's a difference." "Is there?" His jaw clenched. "Get in the car, Amara." "Why should I trust you?" "Because," his voice dropped, became almost gentle. 3 years ago, you arrived at my gate with nothing but a visitor's visa and a phone number for a staffing agency. You were terrified. Alone. Your mother had just died and you'd spent everything you had to bury her properly. You needed work. Needed safety. Needed someone to see you as human instead of labor. Her breath caught. "I saw the way you looked at the house. Like it was too beautiful to be real. Like you didn't belong in spaces this clean." His eyes held hers. "I gave you the job before the agency sent your references. Before background checks. Before I knew anything except that you were honest and afraid and stronger than you believed." Tears burned her eyes. "You trusted me then," he said quietly. "Trust me now." Amara looked at the mansion behind him. 3 years. 3 years of safety she'd never expected. 3 years of wages sent home to her siblings. 3 years of watching a dangerous man move through his world and wondering what it would feel like if he looked at her the way he looked at things he wanted to keep. Now he was looking at her exactly that way. And it was terrifying. "If you're wrong about Min-jae, I'm not. I'll never forgive you." Something cracked in his expression. "I know." She got in the car. He slid in beside her. The door closed, and the convoy rolled toward a restaurant where a trap was waiting. But Amara no longer knew which side had set it. The restaurant was called Moonlight Garden. Ironic, Amara thought, for a place where men plan murder over expensive wine. It sat in Gangnam, all glass walls and minimalist design, the kind of establishment where a single meal cost what she used to make in a month. Soft lighting, live piano, couples leaning close over tables dressed in white linen. Normal people living normal lives. She watched them through tinted windows as the convoy circled the block. "How many?" Chairman Zhang's voice was cold. Professional. The gentle man from the mansion had vanished, replaced by the predator Soul feared. 8 confirmed. Jiwoo's voice crackled through his earpiece. Min-jae inside at table 7. 3 men at the bar, chomp a muscle, armed. 2 in a vehicle across the street. 2 on the rooftop adjacent. 1 in the kitchen. Exits. Front entrance, kitchen service door, emergency exit east side. All covered by our teams. Amara's mouth went dry. "This is insane," she whispered. Chairman Zhang turned to her. His hand found hers in the dark. Warm, steady, achingly human despite the violence humming beneath his skin. "You don't have to go in. You said." "I said many things. But I won't send you into danger to prove a point." His thumb traced circles on her palm. "We can end this now. I'll handle Min-jae and his associates. You'll go back to the compound. Safe. Untouched. And never know the truth. Sometimes not knowing is its own mercy." Amara looked at their joined hands. 3 years she'd wondered what his touch would feel like. She'd imagined it gentle. Hesitant, even. But this was possession wrapped in tenderness. A claim and a question at once. "I need to see his face," she said. "When he realizes I know." Chairman Zhang's expression darkened. "That's not closure. That's cruelty to yourself. Maybe I've earned a little cruelty. You've earned nothing but safety and peace and every good thing this world stole from you." His voice went rough. "But if you need to watch him burn, I'll strike the match." The vehicle stopped 2 blocks away. "He can't see you," Amara said. "If he sees you, he'll know. I'm not letting you walk in there alone. You have 8 men positioned around that building. I'll be surrounded by your people pretending to be strangers. That's not alone. Amara, this is my choice." She met his eyes. "You gave me the job on faith. Give me this on faith too. Something like pain crossed his face. If anything happens, then you'll do what you do best. She tried to smile. It felt broken. Burn everything down. He stared at her for 3 heartbeats, then pulled a small device from his pocket. Earpiece. I'll hear everything. You'll hear me. She let him fit it into her ear, his fingers gentle against her skin, lingering longer than necessary. There's a panic word, he said quietly. Say my name. Just my name. Not chairman. Not sir. Taehyun. The second I hear it, 30 men breach that building and you're extracted within 15 seconds. Taehyun, she repeated. His eyes closed briefly like the sound hurt. I've spent 3 years wanting to hear you say it. His voice dropped to gravel, hating that it would take fear to make you use it. What should I have called you? He looked at her then. Really looked, the way he had in the parlor when the glass cracked and the world shifted. Mine, he said simply. The word hung between them. Then he released her hand. Jiwoo opened the door. Amara stepped into Seoul's night air. The black coat hid the red dress, but she could still feel the silk against her skin, a reminder of the woman she tried to become for all the wrong reasons. 2 blocks north, Jiwoo murmured. Walk normally. We're in position. Amara walked, heels clicking against pavement. Heart counting beats. 3. Pause. 3. Pause. The earpiece whispered with tactical chatter that faded into background noise beneath one voice. I'm with you. Taehyun's voice wrapped around her like armor. Every step. The restaurant's entrance gleamed ahead. A valet smiled at her. Good evening, miss. I'm meeting someone. She stepped inside. Warmth. Piano music. Debussy. Something gentle and melancholy. The scent of truffle and wine and money. And there, at table 7, Min-jae stood. He looked exactly as she remembered. Handsome in that easy way that made trust feel natural. Dark hair styled carefully. Suit that fit well, but not too well. Smile that crinkled his eyes. He was holding flowers. Pink roses. Her favorite. She'd mentioned it once. He'd remembered. Amara. His face lit up. You came. I was starting to worry. She forced herself to smile. To walk toward him like her world hadn't shattered twice in one night. Sorry. Work emergency. Must be some job. He pulled out her chair. You never talk about it. Because talking about it means admitting I scrub floors for a man who terrifies and fascinates me in equal measure. It's complicated. Well, you're here now. He sat across from her. You look incredible. That coat. Is there something underneath? Her skin prickled. Just a dress. I'd love to see it. Maybe later. In her ear. 3 men at the bar just signaled each other. Taehyun's voice had gone cold. They know you're here. Min-jae poured wine. I ordered the tasting menu. Hope that's okay. I wanted tonight to be special. Special how? His smile widened. You'll see. The piano shifted to something darker. Minor key. Discordant. So, Min-jae leaned forward. Tell me about this emergency. What kind of work demands you on a Saturday night? Household management. For a private family. Must be some family. Do I know them? There it was. The first crack in his performance. His eyes were too bright. Too focused. The casual curiosity had teeth underneath. I doubt it, Amara said carefully. They keep to themselves. Gangnam District, right? That's where you said the house was. She'd never said. Itaewon, actually. Oh. He nodded. Expensive area. Your employer must trust you. Access to the house. Keys, probably. Security codes. In her ear, he's fishing. Don't give him anything. I just clean, Amara said. I don't have access to anything important. Humble. Min-jae's smile didn't reach his eyes anymore. I like that about you. You don't advertise your value. What value? Everyone has value. He sipped his wine. Some people just don't realize it until someone shows them. The appetizer arrived. Amara couldn't taste it. You seem nervous, Min-jae observed. Everything okay? Just tired. From work. Yes. For the private family. Yes. In Itaewon. He was circling, testing her lies. Min-jae, you know what's funny? He set down his glass. I called the staffing agency you mentioned. The one you said connected you with your job. Amara's blood went cold. They'd never heard of you. Maybe you called the wrong. I called all of them. Every domestic staffing agency in Seoul. His voice hardened. No one has a record of placing an Amara from Nigeria into household work 3 years ago. In her ear, "Get out. Now. Say the word." But she couldn't move. "What are you doing?" she whispered. "What am I doing?" Minjae laughed. "I'm the one who should be asking questions." "What are you doing, Amara? Who are you really?" "I'm no one." "You're lying." He leaned closer. "You work for him, don't you?" "For Chairman Jang Tae-hyun." The name fell like a stone into still water. Everything rippled. The men at the bar stood. The pianist hit a wrong note. Someone's phone buzzed, urgent, insistent. "I don't. Don't insult me." Minjae's hand shot across the table, grabbed her wrist. "We've been watching that compound for months. 8-foot walls, armed guards, staff that never leaves. But you left. One day a week, every week. Always alone." His grip tightened. "You were the opening." Amara's vision blurred. "For what?" "To make him care." Minjae's smile turned savage. "To give the untouchable chairman something touchable. Something we could break." In her ear, Amara. The word. "Say it." But she couldn't form sound. Because Minjae was reaching into his jacket. Because the men at the bar were moving. Because she finally understood. She'd never been the hunter in this trap. She'd been the bait. "Did you really think," Minjae said softly, "that someone like me would want someone like you for anything except what you could give me access to?" The words cut deeper than any blade. "You were convenient. Lonely. Desperate for someone to see you." He pulled out not a weapon but a phone. "And stupid enough to believe a man like me would choose a maid over." The restaurant's lights exploded. Glass shattered. The world turned to chaos and darkness and screaming. Amara hit the floor as gunfire erupted, not from inside the restaurant, but from everywhere at once. The windows, the doors, the kitchen, the ceiling. Taehyun's men had breached. She crawled under the table as bodies fell around her. The 3 men from the bar went down in coordinated shots, professional, clean, merciless. The pianist kept playing. No, someone was screaming. It was her. Hands grabbed her, gentle hands, familiar hands. "I've got you." Taehyun. He'd come through the kitchen entrance. Blood on his face that wasn't his. Eyes wild with something between rage and relief. He pulled her against his chest. Shielded her body with his as the shooting continued. "You didn't say the word," he growled against her hair. "I couldn't. You almost died. I'm sorry." "Don't." His arms tightened. "Don't apologize for his cruelty." Someone groaned nearby. Minjae, still alive, crawling toward the emergency exit with blood leaking from his shoulder. Taehyun's expression went blank. He set Amara down gently. "Close your eyes." "What are you?" "Close your eyes." She did. But she heard it. The sound of Taehyun crossing the floor. The sound of Minjae begging. The sound of, "Did you think," Taehyun's voice was soft, almost kind, "that you could use her? That you could make her believe someone cared? That you could touch what's mine and live? Please." You called her stupid. You told her she had no value except as access. A pause. "I'm going to show you what men like me do to people who hurt things we love." The gunshot was clean. Final. Amara's eyes flew open. Taehyun stood over Minjae's body. His expression was empty, calm, terrifyingly human. He turned to her. "I'm sorry you had to hear that. You killed him." "Yes. Because he hurt me. Because he tried to use you." Taehyun crossed back to her. Knelt. "Because he made you doubt your worth. Because he weaponized your loneliness. Because he smiled while planning your death." He touched her face. "Because the second he grabbed your wrist, I decided he didn't deserve to breathe my air anymore." Amara couldn't stop shaking. "This is who you are." "Yes." "This is what you do." "Yes." No apology. No shame. "And I will do worse to anyone who tries this again." Sirens wailed in the distance. Jiwoo appeared. "We need to move. Now." Taehyun lifted Amara like she weighed nothing. Carried her through the kitchen where more bodies lay cooling. Through the service entrance where the convoy waited. The last thing she saw before the door closed was the restaurant behind them. Beautiful and broken. Full of people learning that some dates end in bloodshed. And somewhere in her chest, beneath the terror and shock, a dangerous thought bloomed. He killed for me. He would burn the world for me. And I don't know if that's love or madness or both. The convoy didn't return to the mansion. Amara realized this when the familiar gates didn't appear. When the route stretched past Gangnam into quieter districts where neon faded and old Seoul emerged, traditional houses pressed between modern buildings like memories refusing to die. Where are we going? Her voice came out smaller than intended. Taehyun sat beside her in the back seat, close enough that their thighs touched, far enough that she could still pretend the heat between them was just adrenaline. Somewhere they won't look for you. They? The four who escaped the compound. The two from the restaurant rooftop who got away. His jaw tightened. Champa has 12 clans. We eliminated one tonight. 11 remain. The words settled like stones in her chest. You're saying this isn't over. It won't be over until every man who planned to use you is dead or terrified enough to forget you exist. He finally looked at her. Blood still marked his collar. I'm sorry. For killing them? For not killing them sooner. Amara's hands twisted in her lap. The black coat still covered her red dress, but she could feel the silk sticking to her skin, sweat and fear, and the ghost of Min-jae's words crawling over her like insects. Did you really think someone like me would want someone like you? He was right, she whispered. Taehyun went still. What? Min-jae. What he said. I was stupid. Desperate. I believed, her voice cracked. I believed someone saw me as more than what I could provide. Amara. But he didn't. And maybe no one does. Maybe I'm just. The tears came before she could stop them. Maybe I'm just the help who got pretty ideas above her station. The car stopped. Taehyun's hand cupped her face, rough palm, gentle pressure, forcing her to look at him. Listen to me. His voice was steel wrapped in silk. That man was a weapon. Weapons lie. They manipulate. They find your softest parts and press until you break. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. But you didn't break. You walked into that restaurant knowing it was a trap. You sat across from a man who wanted to use you, and you didn't flinch. You heard me kill him, and you're still here. Because I have nowhere else to go. You have everywhere to go. His eyes burned into hers. I meant what I said. 6 months severance. References. Freedom. If you want to leave, I'll put you on a plane to anywhere in the world tonight, and you'll never see me again. Her breath caught. You mean that? I've never meant anything more. His hand dropped. But I hope you stay. Why? Because, he said quietly, 3 years ago I watched you water plants in my garden and sing in a language I didn't understand. And I thought, here is someone who still believes beautiful things can grow in poisoned soil. He turned away. I wanted to be near that. Near you. Even if I could never touch it. The car door opened. Jiwoo stood outside a traditional hanok, wooden beams and curved tile roof, a house that belonged to a different century. Safe house, she said. Secured perimeter. No one knows about this location except inner circle. Amara stepped out. The air smelled different here. Jasmine and old wood and something cooking in a neighboring house. Human smells. Normal smells. Inside, the hanok was deceptively modern. Traditional exterior hiding bulletproof windows and surveillance systems embedded in antique furniture. Bedroom through there. Jiwoo pointed. Bathroom stocked. Clothes in your size. How? Chairman had them prepared 6 months ago. Jiwoo's expression softened. When he realized you might need somewhere safe that wasn't the mansion. Amara looked at Taehyun. You've been planning this? I've been planning for every contingency that involves keeping you alive. He shrugged out of his blood-stained jacket. I'm very good at contingencies. Jiwoo's radio crackled. Situation at the compound. Need you there. Taehyun's face hardened. What situation? Champa sent a message. Delivered to the front gate. A pause. It's addressed to her. Amara's blood went cold. I'm coming with you, she said. Absolutely not. It's addressed to me. Which means it's a psychological attack meant to frighten you. Taehyun stepped closer. I won't give them that satisfaction. You don't own me. The words hung between them. His expression flickered. Hurt. Then acceptance. Then something darker. No, he said softly. I don't. But I will protect you whether you want me to or not. Even if you hate me for it. Even if it drives you away. He turned to Jiwoo. She stays here. For guards minimum. If she tries to leave, sedate her. Excuse me. I'll be back in 3 hours. He was already moving toward the door. And Amara? I'm sorry. For all of this. For being what I am. For wanting you anyway. Then he was gone. The door closed. Amara stood alone in a strange house that felt like a cage disguised as safety. Jiwoo stayed. You don't have to babysit me, Amara said. I'm not babysitting. I'm ensuring you survive long enough to decide whether you're running from him or toward him. What makes you think I'd run toward him? Jiwoo smiled, small, knowing, almost sad. Because you're still here. Because you got in the car. Because when he offered you freedom, you asked why he wanted you to stay instead of taking it. Amara sank onto a low sofa. The red dress felt obscene now. A costume for a play that had turned into a tragedy. Can I ask you something? She said quietly. Yes. How long have you worked for him? 15 years. Since I was 23. Jiwoo sat across from her. He saved my life. I was being trafficked. Sold to a brothel in Busan. He was there on business, some deal with the Yakuza. Saw me being moved through the kitchen. Her voice went flat. He killed 18 men in 4 minutes. Burned the building to the ground. Gave me a choice. Walk away with enough money to start over, or work for him and learn how to make sure no one ever owned me again. You chose him. I chose myself. He just gave me the tools. Jiwoo's eyes held hers. That's what he does. He doesn't save people to own them. He saves them and then waits to see what they'll become when they're free. Then why won't he let me leave? Because you're not safe yet. And because, Jiwoo paused. Because he's terrified you'll realize you're better off without him, and he'll lose the only thing in his life that makes him feel human. Amara's throat tightened. I'm not responsible for his humanity. No, but you're the first person who made him want to find it. Jiwoo stood. I'll give you privacy. Bedroom's through there. Try to rest. Tomorrow will be harder. She left. Amara sat in silence. The house creaked around her, old wood settling, wind through eaves, the distant sound of traffic like the ocean. Her phone buzzed. She pulled it out with shaking hands. Unknown number. You should have died tonight. He chose you over the deal. Over peace. Over everything we offered. Her breath stopped. Unknown number. We will make him regret that choice. We will make you wish Min Jae had killed you quickly. A photo loaded. The mansion. Her room. Her bed. They've been inside. Unknown number. We know where you sleep. Where you hide. Where you think you're safe. There is nowhere Chairman Zhang's money can protect you that our reach doesn't extend. Another photo. Her mother's grave. In Nigeria. Flowers fresh on the headstone. Unknown number. Pretty flowers. Would be a shame if someone disturbed them. If your family learned what you've been doing for 3 years. If your sister in Lagos opened her door one night and the phone shattered against the wall. Amara couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. They know everything. Everyone I love. Everyone who. The door crashed open. Taehyun stood there. 3 hours hadn't passed. Maybe 30 minutes. His eyes found the broken phone. Then her face. What happened? It wasn't a question. Amara couldn't speak. He crossed to the phone. Picked up the pieces with careful hands. His face went blank as he read the messages on the cracked screen. Then his expression shifted into something inhuman. Jiwoo. His voice was eerily calm. I need every man we have. Now. Sir. They threatened her family. They sent pictures. He looked up. Burn their operations. Every single one. I want Champa to understand what happens when they make this personal. That's 11 clans. Full-scale war. Yes. The other families won't stay neutral. This will destabilize. I don't care. Each word fell like a hammer. They touched what's mine. They threatened her mother's grave. They made her look like that. He gestured to Amara's face. So, I'm going to teach Seoul what terror really means. He turned to Amara. I need names. Your sister. Any family in Nigeria. Anyone you care about. Anyone who might be vulnerable. Why? Because I'm putting protection on every single person you love. His voice softened. Because they made a mistake thinking your connections were weakness. I'm going to turn them into a fortress. Amara's hands shook. My sister Zainab. Lagos. I don't have her exact address memorized. It's in my phone. I'll find her. He pulled out his own phone. Started typing. Who else? My aunt. My cousin in Busan. The one I was going to. Her voice broke. And my mother's grave. They can't. Please, they can't. They won't. His eyes met hers. I'm sending men to Nigeria tonight. Your mother's resting place will be guarded. Your sister will have a security detail she won't even notice. Anyone who tries to touch your family will disappear. This is insane. This is what I do. He knelt in front of her. This is who I am. I told you I'd burn the world for you. Did you think I was speaking in metaphors? Amara stared at him. At this man who killed without hesitation, who controlled an empire built on violence, who looked at her like she was the only thing in existence that mattered. I don't know how to feel about you, she whispered. Feel however you need to feel. Hate me. Fear me. Use me. His hand found hers. But let me keep you safe. Let me protect what you love. That's all I'm asking. That's not all you're asking. He smiled. Small, sad, devastatingly honest. No, it's not. I'm asking you to stay. To give me time to prove that violence and devotion aren't mutually exclusive. To let me show you that men like me can learn to love without breaking. He lifted her hand to his lips, pressed a kiss to her knuckles that felt like a vow. I'm asking you to see me as something other than a monster. What if you are a monster? Then you'll be the thing that humanizes me. His voice dropped. Or the thing that makes my monstrosity worth it. Footsteps pounded outside. Guards moving into position. Taehyun stood. I have to go. There's work to do. What kind of work? The kind that ensures Chongpa learns there are worse things than death. He touched her face one more time. Try to sleep. Jiwoo will stay with you. Taehyun. He stopped at the door. She'd said his name. Not chairman. His name. Don't die, she whispered. Whatever you're about to do, don't die. Something cracked in his expression. For you, he said quietly. I'll live forever. Then he was gone. And Amara sat in a house that smelled like jasmine and old wood, wearing a red dress that had become a funeral shroud, holding the weight of a dangerous truth. She didn't want him to die, which meant some part of her, some foolish, broken, desperate part, had started to care. 3 hours later, Amara couldn't sleep. She'd changed into clothes that fit perfectly, soft cotton, her size, her style. He'd known. Of course he'd known. Jiwoo brought tea. He's burning their warehouses, she said quietly. For so far. Chompa's losing millions by the hour. Will they retaliate? They'll try. Jiwoo sipped her own tea. But chairman is 3 moves ahead. He always is. This is my fault. This is the fault of men who thought they could weaponize someone's humanity. Jiwoo set down her cup. You're not responsible for their evil or his response to it. Then who is? The world that made men like him necessary. Jiwoo's voice carried weight. The world that taught him love was weakness. The world that would have let you die in a restaurant while people ate dessert and pretended not to notice. Amara's phone, a new one, appearing on the table like magic, buzzed. Taehyun, your sister Zainab is safe. My men are in Lagos. She'll never know they're there. Your mother's grave has been secured. I'm sending flowers. White roses. You told me once those were her favorite. Tears blurred her vision. She had mentioned that. Once. In passing. While cleaning the library 8 months ago. He'd remembered. Amara, thank you. Taehyun, you never have to thank me for protecting what's precious to you. Amara, are you safe? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Taehyun, I'm covered in blood that isn't mine and burning an empire to the ground. But I'm thinking about you. So yes, I'm safe. Amara, that's not what safe means. Taehyun, it is when you're the thing keeping me human enough to care about survival. She stared at the screen. Typed. Deleted. Typed again. Amara, come back. When you're done, come back. Taehyun, wild horses couldn't keep me away. The phone went quiet. Amara sat in the dark. Somewhere in Seoul, a man was destroying lives in her name. Somewhere in Seoul, enemies were learning what happened when they threatened what Chairman Jang Taehyun loved. And somewhere in her chest, beneath fear and confusion and the ghost of Min Jae's cruelty, something dangerous was blooming. The realization that she wanted him to come back. That she'd wait for him. That maybe, God help her, she was starting to understand why Jiwoo had chosen this life. Because some men saved you and then waited to see what you'd become. And some men burned the world down to keep you safe. And sometimes, those men were the same person. He came back at dawn. Amara had fallen asleep on the sofa, half sitting, half collapsed, still wearing the clothes he'd chosen for her. Her body had finally surrendered to exhaustion somewhere around 4 a.m. when the adrenaline ran out and left only the ache. The sound of the door woke her. Soft, careful, like he was trying not to disturb her. She opened her eyes. Taehyun stood in the doorway backlit by early morning gray. His white shirt was no longer white. Dark stains covered his chest, his sleeves, his hands. His face was pale beneath the blood spatter, exhausted in a way that went deeper than physical tiredness. He looked like death. He looked like he'd walked through hell and back. He looked at her like she was the only thing that made the journey worth it. "You're awake." His voice was rough. "I'm sorry. I tried to be quiet." Amara sat up. "How bad is it?" 16 warehouses, 3 distribution centers, 73 million won in product destroyed. He said it the way someone might report the weather. Champa's leadership is in emergency session. They'll either sue for peace or declare total war by noon. And if they choose war, then I'll finish what they started. He moved into the room, each step deliberate, like his body was running on will alone. "But your family is safe. I have confirmation. 8 men in Lagos. For at your mother's site. Your sister will never know they're there." He swayed slightly. Amara stood. "When did you last sleep?" "Thursday. That was 3 days ago." "Yes." He smiled, small, exhausted, devastatingly honest. "Tend to lose track during operations. Sit down before you fall down. I need to shower first." He looked at his hands. "I'm not clean enough to be near you." "Taehyun, give me 10 minutes. Then we'll talk." He was already moving toward the bathroom. "There's something you need to know. About Minjae. About all of this. Something I should have told you from the beginning." The door closed. Water ran. Amara stood in the growing light, heart pounding for reasons she couldn't name. "Something I should have told you from the beginning." Jiwoo appeared from the kitchen with coffee. He made it back. Barely. Amara took the cup with shaking hands. "What does he mean about something he should have told me?" Jiwoo's expression shifted. "That's not my story to tell. But you know what it is." "Yes." "Is it bad?" Jiwoo paused. "It's complicated, and it's going to hurt. But it's also the truth. And you deserve that." The water stopped. Silence pressed against Amara's ears. Taehyun emerged in clean clothes, simple black shirt and pants, no armor of expensive suits. His hair was still damp, skin scrubbed raw. The blood was gone, but the exhaustion remained, carved into the lines around his eyes. He looked younger without the violence, almost vulnerable. "Jiwoo," he said quietly, "leave us." She nodded and disappeared. They were alone. Taehyun stood across the room like he was afraid to come closer. Like proximity might shatter whatever he was about to say. 3 years ago, he began. "When you arrived at my gate asking for work, it wasn't an accident." Amara's chest tightened. "What?" "The staffing agency. The phone number. The job posting." His voice was steady, but his hands weren't. "I planted all of it." The room tilted. "I don't understand. Your mother worked for my family. 20 years ago. Before I inherited. Before my father died." He wouldn't meet her eyes. "She was part of the household staff in our estate in Incheon. She worked there for 2 years before she married your father and moved back to Nigeria." Amara couldn't breathe. "My mother," she never mentioned. She wouldn't have. It wasn't a happy time. Taehyun's jaw clenched. "My father was a brutal man. He hurt the people who worked for him. Not physically. He was too calculating for that. But psychologically, financially, he'd trap them in debt, make them dependent, ensure they could never leave." His hands formed fists. "Your mother tried to help someone. Another worker who was being exploited. She went to the authorities. Tried to expose what was happening. He finally looked at her. My father destroyed her for it. Got her blacklisted. Made sure she couldn't work anywhere in Korea. She had to flee back to Nigeria with nothing." Amara's legs gave out. She sat down hard. "When I inherited everything, when I took control of the family business and tried to undo every evil thing my father had built, I looked for everyone he'd hurt, everyone he'd destroyed." Taehyun's voice cracked. "I found records. Names. Your mother was on the list." Tears burned Amara's eyes. "I tracked her to Lagos. Found out she'd died. Found out she had a daughter who'd spent everything to bury her with dignity." He crossed the room, knelt in front of her. I found out that daughter was trying to get to Korea, looking for work, desperate enough to trust a phone number from a stranger. So you created the job. I created the opportunity. The choice was still yours. His hands hovered near hers, but didn't touch. I brought you here to give you what my father stole from your mother. Safety, stability, a chance to build something. You lied to me. I withheld the truth. Yes. No excuse. No justification. Because I didn't know how to tell you that your mother suffered because of my family. That her pain was my inheritance. That every day you spent in my house, you were walking the same halls where she'd been broken. Amara's voice came out strangled. Did you know her? My mother? No. I was a child when she worked there. 8 years old. I have no memory of her. His eyes were red. But I saw the records. The things my father did. The way he systematically destroyed her life because she dared to speak truth. So this whole time, the job, the protection, watching me for 3 years, it was guilt. It started as guilt. His voice dropped. It became something else entirely. What? Love. The word fell between them like a stone into still water. Real, consuming, terrifying love that has nothing to do with debt or obligation and everything to do with the fact that you're the first thing in my life that feels clean. Amara couldn't process this. Couldn't hold it all. You should have told me. I know. From the beginning. I know. I had a right to decide if I wanted to work in the house where my mother was destroyed. I know. His voice broke. I know I stole that choice from you. I know I'm no better than my father in that regard. I know. He stopped. I know you have every reason to hate me now. I don't know what I feel. Tears spilled down her cheeks. My mother never talked about Korea. She never mentioned working here. I thought she just came here young, traveled, went home. I didn't know she was hurt. I didn't know. Her voice shattered. Taehyun's hands finally touched her, gentle on her knees, grounding without grasping. She was strong. Like you. The records show she fought for 2 months. Appealed to every authority. Refused to back down even when my father threatened her visa, her reputation, her future. His voice filled with something like awe. She was extraordinary, and she deserved better than what my family gave her. So you gave her daughter a job instead. I gave her daughter a choice I should have offered years sooner. He looked up at her, and then I fell in love with the woman who grew from that choice, who took the chance I offered and turned it into something more than survival, who sang in languages I didn't understand and watered gardens and read poetry in sunlight, and made me believe maybe I could be something other than my father's legacy. Amara's hands shook. Min-jae, did he know? About my mother? Yes. Taehyun's expression hardened. Champa did their research. They found the connection. That's why they targeted you. Not random selection. Strategic cruelty. They wanted to hurt me using the daughter of a woman my father destroyed. So I was never just a maid to you. No. I was a debt to be repaid. At first, his honesty was brutal. But Amara, people change. Obligations transform into something real. I can't pinpoint the moment you stopped being penance and became everything. Maybe it was watching you cry over your mother's photograph. Maybe it was hearing you laugh for the first time. Maybe it was the day you told me my mother would have wanted someone to read her books who still believed. He squeezed her knees gently. I don't know when it happened. I just know that killing for you tonight was an obligation. It was instinct. Need. The same as breathing. The room was too small. The air too thick. I need to think, Amara whispered. I can't process this right now. Take all the time you need. Will you let me leave? If I decide I can't stay? His face crumpled, then smoothed. Yes. Even knowing Champa is still hunting me? I'll protect you from anywhere in the world. You don't have to stay in my house to stay in my heart. He stood. But I hope you'll consider that despite the lies, despite the guilt, despite everything, you're safer with me than without me. And maybe that's enough for now. He moved toward the door. Taehyun. He stopped. My mother, Amara's voice cracked. Did she suffer? In the end, after she left Korea. He turned back, and the compassion in his eyes nearly broke her. The records say she married your father 2 months after returning to Nigeria, that they had 4 children, that she ran a small shop selling textiles, that she sang in the church choir. His voice gentled, that she died surrounded by family who loved her. Peacefully. In her sleep. You investigated all of that. I needed to know she'd found happiness after what my father did. That he hadn't destroyed all of her. He smiled sadly. Sounds like she built something beautiful despite him. She did. Amara's tears fell harder. She was happy. She loved us so much. She used to say. A sob caught her throat. She used to say that pain was just a chapter, not the whole story. She was right. Was she? Amara looked at him through blurred vision. Because right now it feels like pain is all there is. Right now, yes. He didn't move closer. Didn't try to comfort her. Just stood in the doorway like a man accepting his sentence. But you're strong like she was. You'll write new chapters. With or without me. He left. The door closed. And Amara sat alone in a house that smelled like jasmine and old wood and secrets, holding the weight of truths that changed everything. Her mother had suffered in this city. The man she was starting to love had brought her back to the scene of that suffering. He'd loved her from a foundation of guilt. But guilt had transformed into something real. And now she had to decide. Was love that grew from lies still love? Or was it just another form of debt, dressed up as devotion? Jiwoo appeared with more coffee. You knew? Amara said flatly. Yes. For how long? From the beginning. I helped him find you. Jiwoo sat down. I also told him he should have been honest from day one. Why wasn't he? Because he was afraid you'd refuse the job. That you'd choose poverty over accepting anything connected to the family that hurt your mother. Jiwoo's voice was gentle. He was trying to give you a gift. He just didn't realize gifts that come with secrets aren't really gifts at all. Amara laughed, broken, bitter. So what do I do now? That depends. Jiwoo met her eyes. Can you separate the man from his father's sins? Can you accept that he's trying to be different? Can you forgive someone for lying with good intentions? I don't know. Then take time to figure it out. Jiwoo stood. But while you're thinking, remember that he could have kept lying. Could have let you believe the job was random luck. Could have taken advantage of your gratitude and your growing feelings without ever telling you the truth. So, I should be grateful he finally stopped lying? No. You should recognize that confession when he had nothing to gain from it, when it would have been safer to stay silent, means something. Jiwoo moved to the door. Men like Chairman don't volunteer their own damnation unless they love someone enough to risk losing them. She left. Amara sat in the growing daylight. Her phone buzzed. Taehyun, Champa chose peace. They're withdrawing. You're safe now. As safe as anyone can be in this world. Taehyun, I'm staying at the main compound. The hammock is yours for as long as you need it. There's money in the kitchen drawer. Passport in the bedroom safe. Code is your mother's birthday. A car will take you anywhere you want to go. Taehyun, I won't contact you again unless you ask me to. Take your time. Take forever if you need it. Taehyun, I'm sorry I'm not the man you deserve to fall for. I'm sorry my family hurt yours. I'm sorry for all of it. Taehyun, but I'm not sorry I brought you here. Even if you hate me. Even if you leave. Because 3 years of having you near was worth whatever comes next. Taehyun, your mother would be proud of who you've become. I know I am. The messages stopped. Amara stared at the screen through tears that wouldn't stop falling. She thought about her mother. About strength that survived cruelty. About building beauty from pain. She thought about the man who'd killed for her tonight. Who'd burned an empire. Who'd confessed his sins knowing it might destroy the only thing he loved. She thought about the red dress hanging in the bedroom. About the woman who'd worn it hoping to be seen. And she realized she had been seen. Just not the way she'd expected. Not by a man who wanted to use her. But by a man who wanted to save her, even from himself. The question was, did that make him better or worse? And was love that grew in poisoned soil still capable of blooming? She didn't have an answer. Not yet. But somewhere in her chest, beneath the hurt and confusion, one truth remained solid. She wasn't ready to leave. Not because she was trapped, but because pain was just a chapter. And she wanted to see how this story ended. My father told me stories don't pay. That empires are built on fear, not feelings. That showing weakness gets you killed. But you're still here. Reading about blood and lies and impossible love. That's not weakness. That's hunger for something real. Subscribe if you understand that the most dangerous thing in the world isn't a man who kills. It's a man who'd burn everything down for one person. And if you want to see if love can survive in houses built on bones, the families are watching my numbers. Show them truth is more powerful than terror. She stayed in the hammock for 3 days. Taehyun kept his word. No messages, no visits, no contact except the silent evidence of his presence. Fresh groceries appearing in the kitchen every morning, new books on the table that matched her taste, flowers in the window box that hadn't been there before. Jiwoo checked in twice daily. Brief, professional, never pushing. He's at the compound, she'd say. Working, not sleeping, asking if you're okay. Amara never answered that last part. She didn't know if she was okay. She spent the first day crying. Ugly, gasping sobs that emptied her until she was hollow. For her mother. For the suffering she'd never known about. For the lies wrapped in good intentions. For falling in love with the son of the man who destroyed her mother's life. She spent the second day angry, pacing the small house like a caged thing, throwing cups that didn't break because he'd somehow known to stock plastic, screaming into pillows, hating him, hating herself for not hating him enough. She spent the third day remembering, her mother's hands braiding her hair, her mother's voice singing while she cooked, her mother's laugh, bright and full and unstoppable despite everything she'd survived. Pain is just a chapter, baby, not the whole story. On the fourth morning, Amara made a decision. She needed to see the place where her mother had worked, the estate in Incheon where it had all happened. She needed to walk those halls, feel what her mother had felt, understand what had broken her enough to flee across an ocean. She texted Jiwoo, Amara, I need to go to Incheon, to the old estate. The response came within seconds. Jiwoo, that's not a good idea. Amara, why? Jiwoo, because Chairman hasn't been back there since his father died. Because that house holds too many ghosts. Because, Amara, I'm going. With or without permission. A pause. Then, Jiwoo, I'll arrange transport. But I'm telling him. He deserves to know. Amara, fine. The estate sat 2 hours outside Seoul, sprawling traditional architecture on a hillside overlooking the sea. Beautiful in the way graveyards were beautiful. Peaceful. Haunted. Full of things that should rest but couldn't. The car stopped at iron gates that hadn't opened in 7 years. Jiwoo turned from the front seat. Last chance to change your mind. Open it. The gates groaned. They drove up a winding path lined with stone lanterns and overgrown gardens that had once been manicured perfection. The main house emerged. Massive hammock with wings spreading like broken bird bones. Windows dark, roof tiles green with moss. It looked abandoned. It looked like something that should stay abandoned. Amara stepped out. The air here tasted different. Salt from the sea. Decay from neglect. Something older than both. His father died in the East Wing, Jiwoo said quietly. Heart attack. Alone in his study. They say the staff heard him calling for help and no one came. Good. Jiwoo's lips twitched. Almost a smile. The front door was unlocked. Inside, dust covered everything. Furniture draped in white sheets like ghosts. Family portraits on the walls, stern men with hard eyes, women with tight smiles, a small boy who looked nothing like the man Taehyun had become. Amara walked through rooms that echoed. Kitchen where her mother might have worked. Dining hall where she might have served. Hallways where she might have scrubbed floors. Every surface felt heavy with suffering. The staff quarters were in the back, Jiwoo said. That's probably where. I know. Amara's feet carried her forward. Following instinct. Following the pull of blood memory. The quarters were separate from the main house. A long, low building with small rooms barely big enough for a bed. 12 rooms. 12 lives contained in boxes. Amara stopped at the 5th door. She didn't know why. Just felt it. This one. The door creaked open. The room was empty except for a single wooden shelf and a small window that looked toward the sea. Someone had carved something into the windowsill. Words in English, small and precise. Amara knelt. Read. They can break the body, but not the spirit. Remember who you are. Grace. Her mother's name. Her mother's handwriting. Her mother's defiance carved into wood that had outlasted her pain. Amara's hand traced the letters. She was here, she whispered. She stood here. She looked at this same ocean. She carved these words, and then she left, and she survived, and she built a whole life, and she never told me she'd been broken first. Tears fell. Not angry tears this time. Proud tears. Her mother had been stronger than she'd ever known. Amara. The voice came from behind her. She turned. Taehyun stood in the doorway. He looked wrecked, 3 days without sleep evident in every line of his face. Dressed simply. No armor of expensive clothes. Just a man returning to the place he hated most. Jiwoo told me you were coming, he said. I couldn't let you be here alone. Why not? Because this house eats people. His voice was rough. Because my father's cruelty soaked into these walls, and I didn't want you to feel it without someone who, he stopped. Without me. Amara stood. She carved her name here. Did you know that? He stepped closer, looked at the windowsill. Something cracked in his expression. No, I didn't know. His fingers hovered over the words without touching. She was brave. To leave evidence. To claim her existence in a place designed to erase her. Like mother, like daughter. His eyes met hers. Yes. The room felt too small. Too full of the past pressing against the present. Do you know what happened? Amara asked. Specifically, what your father did to her. Taehyun's jaw clenched. Yes. Tell me. Amara. Tell me. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, there was another worker. A young man. 17. He owed my father money. Debt his family had accumulated over generations. My father was using him. Making him run drugs between here and Seoul. The boy wanted out. Wanted to stop. Taehyun's hands formed fists. Your mother helped him. Hid him here in the quarters when my father's men came looking. Went to the police. Filed reports. Testified about what was happening. What happened to the boy? He got out. Made it to Busan. My father's people never found him. Taehyun's voice dropped. Because they were too busy destroying your mother for helping him escape. She saved him. At the cost of her own future here. Yes. His eyes burned. She was 23 years old. And she stood up to one of the most powerful men in Korea because a child needed help. Amara's chest ached. Do you know where he is? The boy she saved. He's 40 now. Lives in Busan. Owns a restaurant. Has 3 children. Taehyun smiled sadly. I've been sending him money anonymously for 7 years. He doesn't know why. Doesn't know someone is watching over him the way your mother once did. You're protecting him. I'm finishing what she started. He stepped closer. I'm trying to be the man she deserved to encounter instead of my father. Amara looked at him. Really looked. At the exhaustion. The guilt. The desperate hope. You can't erase what he did. I know. You can't fix the past by fixing me. I know that too. His voice cracked. But I can honor her sacrifice by making sure her daughter never suffers the way she did. I can use the empire my father built on cruelty to protect the people he would have destroyed. I can choose to be different even if the blood is the same. That's not redemption. That's just, Amara's voice broke. That's just trying not to be a monster. Maybe that's all any of us can do. He reached out. Stopped. Let his hand fall. Maybe we're all just children of terrible people trying not to repeat their mistakes. The ocean sound drifted through the window. Constant. Unchanging. I found her carving, Amara whispered. And I understand now. Why you brought me here. Why you couldn't tell me the truth. Why you're so desperate to protect me. Why? Because you see her when you look at me. You see the woman your father broke. And you're trying to give me what he stole from her. Tears streamed down her face. But Taehyun, I'm not her. I'm not your penance. I'm not the scales you balance. I know. Do you? Because it feels like you're loving a ghost through me. No. He closed the distance between them. I loved her memory. I love you. There's a difference. His hand cupped her face. When I see you, I don't see her suffering. I see your strength. Your courage. The way you sing in sunlight and count heartbeats and choose kindness in a world that's given you every reason to be cruel. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. I see the woman who wore a red dress and walked into danger for a chance at something normal. Who survived betrayal and still asked me not to die. Who came to this house knowing it would hurt because you needed the truth more than comfort. I don't know if I can forgive you for lying. I'm not asking for forgiveness. His voice was barely a whisper. I'm asking for a chance to prove that love built on guilt can transform into something real. That families don't define us forever. That your mother's daughter and my father's son can choose to write a different ending. Amar's breath caught. What if we can't? Then I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you're safe enough to walk away from me. His eyes were wet. But I'm gambling that you're strong enough to see past my failures. Strong enough to teach me how to love without breaking. Strong enough to let me try. The carved words watched them. They can break the body, but not the spirit. Amara thought about her mother. About the strength it took to survive. About choosing to build beauty after devastation. She thought about the man in front of her. About the empire he was dismantling. About the violence he wielded to protect instead of destroy. She thought about the woman she wanted to become. And she made a choice. I'm not staying because I forgive you, she said quietly. I'm staying because I want to see if you can become the man you're trying to be. If love can grow in houses built on bones. If we can honor our parents by being better than they got to be. Hope flared in his eyes. You're staying. For now. She stepped back. Created space. But things change. I'm not your maid anymore. I'm not your employee. I'm not your debt. What are you? I don't know yet. She looked around the room. At the history. At the pain. At the carved promise of survival. But I get to decide. Not you. Not guilt. Not the past. Me. I'll take whatever you offer. His voice was raw. Employee. Friend. Enemy. Partner. I don't care what we call it as long as you're alive and whole and choosing it freely. Then take me home, she said. Not here. Not the mansion. The hammock. That's home now. The hammock is yours. I had the deed transferred yesterday. He pulled papers from his jacket. No conditions. No strings. Whether you stay with me or leave me, that house is yours. A place your mother's daughter owns that no one can take away. Amara stared at the deed. Her name in clean print. Ownership of something real. Freedom disguised as property. Why? Because you deserve roots that go deeper than survival. He pressed the papers into her hands. Because I can't fix what my father did to her. But I can make sure you never have to depend on anyone's mercy again. She folded the papers. Held them against her chest. Thank you. Don't thank me. This should have been hers. His voice broke. I'm 30 years too late. They left the estate as the sun set. Behind them, the house full of ghosts settled back into silence. But Amara carried something new. Her mother's carved defiance, a deed to a home, and the dangerous knowledge that sometimes love looked like violence, and protection looked like control, and freedom looked like a man handing you the power to destroy him. She didn't know if that was enough. But her mother had carved hope into a windowsill and survived. Maybe Amara could too. The hammock became their in-between place. Not his. Not entirely hers despite the deed with her name on it. Theirs, though neither said it aloud. Taehyun came every evening after the compound's business was handled. Never assumed entry. Always knocked. Always waited for her to open the door like he was asking permission to exist in her space. The first night, he'd brought dinner. Korean takeout in plastic containers that cost more than most people's weekly groceries. I didn't know what you'd want, he'd said, standing in the doorway like a stranger. So I brought everything. 7 containers. Enough food for a week. Amara had let him in. They'd eaten in silence. Her at the low table, him on the floor across from her. Close enough to touch. Far enough to respect the boundary she'd drawn. Tell me about her, she'd said finally. My mother. What else do you know? So he had. Every detail the records contained. Every piece of her mother's life in Korea that Amara had never known. The poetry she'd read. The songs she'd hummed. The way she'd made the other staff laugh. The defiance that had cost her everything. Amara had cried. He'd handed her tissues and kept talking, giving her the gift of her mother's ghost. That was 3 days ago. Now it was routine. He came at 7, brought food, sat across from her, told her stories about his mother, his childhood, the man his father had been before the cruelty calcified, about the empire he was slowly dismantling from the inside, replacing blood money with legitimate business, freeing people trapped in his father's debts. It'll take years, he'd said last night. Maybe decades. Some things can't be fixed quickly. But you're trying. Because of you. His eyes had held hers. Because you made me want to be worth your time. Tonight, he knocked at 7 like always. Amara opened the door. He stood there with grocery bags instead of takeout. I thought, if you wanted, I could cook. You cook? Badly. But I can follow instructions. He held up his phone. YouTube has videos. Despite everything, despite the grief and confusion and the weight of impossible choices, Amara laughed. It felt like sunlight after rain. Come in. The kitchen was small, built for one person, maybe two if they didn't mind touching. They minded, or tried to, but the space kept shrinking. His shoulder brushing hers as he chopped vegetables, her hand steadying the pot as he stirred. The heat from the stove and each other making the air thick. Your mother used to make this, he said, focused on the kimchi jjigae bubbling in front of him. Or something like it. The staff would cook together on Sundays. Share meals. My father hated it. Said it made them forget their place. But they did it anyway. Every week. For 2 years. Until he stopped stirring. Until he found out and made it stop. Amara's hand covered his on the spoon. She survived him. Remember that. She survived and she built something beautiful. Her voice was soft. You're not him. You're the man trying to undo what he did. Taehyun turned his hand over, threaded his fingers through hers. I don't know how to do this, he whispered. How to love someone without trying to own them. How to protect without controlling. How to, his voice cracked. How to be good enough for you. You think I know how to do this? Amara's laugh was broken. How to love the son of the man who destroyed my mother. How to trust someone who lied to me. How to build something real on a foundation of guilt and blood. So we're both learning. I guess we are. The soup boiled over. They jumped apart, laughing, grabbing towels, making a mess of the cleanup. And somewhere in the chaos, between the burned soup and the ruined dinner and Taehyun's sheepish expression, Amara felt something shift. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But the possibility of it. The maybe. They ordered pizza instead. Very Korean of us, Amara teased. I'm adaptable. He picked up a slice, studied it like it was a business contract. I can learn. Can you? The question hung heavier than she'd intended. Taehyun set down the pizza. I'm trying. Every day. I'm trying to be someone who deserves to be in your life. By burning warehouses? By protecting what matters. There's a difference. Is there? Amara leaned forward. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like violence is still your first language. It's the only language my world understands. His voice was quiet. But for you, I'm learning softer words. I'm learning how to choose you without caging you. How to want you without weaponizing it. How to. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it. His expression changed. What is it? Ji-woo. He stood. There's someone at the compound. Asking for you. Amara's blood went cold. Who? A man from Busan. Says his name is Kim Jun-ho. Taehyun's voice was careful. Says he's looking for the daughter of a woman named Grace. Says he owes her a debt he never got to repay. The room tilted. The boy, Amara whispered. The one my mother saved. Yes. He found me. Apparently he's been looking. For years. Heard about. Taehyun paused. About the restaurant incident. About you. About the connection to my family. He put the pieces together. Amara stood on shaking legs. I need to see him. Amara. I need to see the person my mother gave up everything to save. Her voice was steel. I need to know what her sacrifice created. Taehyun studied her face. Then nodded. I'll take you to him. Kim Jun-ho was 40 but looked younger. Kind eyes. Warm smile. Hands that moved constantly. Nervous energy that came from surviving trauma. He stood when Amara entered the compound's receiving room. Bowed deeply. You look like her, he said in accented English. Your mother. You have her eyes. Amara couldn't speak. I was 17 when she saved my life. Jun-ho's voice shook. I was going to die. The chairman's father. He was going to kill me for trying to leave. For wanting freedom. He looked at Taehyun, standing silent in the doorway. Your mother hid me. For 3 days. In the staff quarters. Brought me food. Helped me escape to Busan. Tears streamed down his face. She told me. She said, they can break the body, but not the spirit. Remember who you are. Those were the last words she said to me. Amara's breath caught. The same words carved into the windowsill. I spent 20 years trying to find her. To thank her. To tell her, his voice broke. To tell her that I made it. That I have a family. That I built something good because she gave me a chance. She died, Amara whispered. 3 years ago. In Nigeria. Junho's face crumpled. I'm too late. No. Amara crossed to him, took his hands. You're not. Because I'm here. And I need to know. I need to know that her sacrifice meant something. That she didn't suffer for nothing. She didn't. Junho squeezed her hands. I have 3 children. A restaurant. A wife who's too good for me. I teach cooking classes to kids from bad situations. Give them a skill, a future, a way out. His eyes held hers. Every single person I've helped. That's because of your mother. She saved me so I could save others. Her kindness multiplied. The tears came hard. Thank you, Amara sobbed. Thank you for becoming someone she'd be proud of. Thank you for being her daughter. Junho pulled her into a hug. Thank you for existing. For carrying her forward. They held each other, 2 people connected by a dead woman's courage. When they finally separated, Junho turned to Taehyun. I know who you are. What you've become. His voice was measured. I know you're trying to undo your father's evil. I've heard the stories, the debts you've forgiven, the people you've freed. Taehyun said nothing. Your father was a monster. But you. Junho bowed slightly. You protected me for 7 years without me knowing. Sent money. Kept my family safe. I didn't understand why until tonight. You don't owe me anything, Taehyun said quietly. I know. That's why it matters. Junho looked between them. Grace would have wanted this. Would have wanted her daughter safe with someone who understands the cost of change. Who chooses good despite the blood. He turned to Amara. Don't punish him for his father's sins. My own father sold me into that situation. Should I be judged by his choices? His smile was sad. We're all just trying to be better than the people who made us. He left contact information. Invited them to Busan. To meet his family. To see what Grace's sacrifice had built. Then he was gone. And Amara stood in the receiving room with Taehyun, holding the weight of her mother's legacy. She saved him, Amara whispered. She gave up her future in Korea to save a boy she barely knew. And he became, her voice broke. He became someone who saves others. Like mother, like daughter. Taehyun's voice was rough. What? You saved me. He crossed to her. You could have left. Could have taken the money and the freedom and disappeared. But you stayed. You're teaching me how to be human again. How to love without destroying. His hands framed her face. You're my second chance. The way your mother gave Junho his. I'm not that good. You're better. His thumb brushed her cheek. You're choosing to stay with a monster and believing he can become a man. That's not just good. That's heroic. Amara's heart was too full. Too broken. Too hopeful. Kiss me, she whispered. Amara. Kiss me. Choose me. Show me that this isn't just guilt. That what you feel is real. If I start, his voice was ragged, I won't want to stop. Then don't stop. She pulled him closer. Don't control. Don't protect. Just love me. However you know how. Messy and imperfect and real. He kissed her like a man drowning. Like she was air and water and salvation. His hands in her hair, her back against the wall. 3 years of wanting compressed into one moment of surrender. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Taehyun pressed his forehead to hers. I love you, he said. Not as penance. Not as debt. As the most selfish, consuming, terrifying thing I've ever felt. I love you too, Amara breathed. God help me. I love you too. The words hung between them. True. Impossible. Undeniable. Outside, soul glittered like broken glass. Inside, 2 people tried to build something clean from violence and grief in their parents' ghosts. And for the first time, Amara believed it might actually work. They had 2 weeks. 2 weeks of learning each other in the spaces between violence and empire. 2 weeks of Taehyun cooking, badly, and Amara laughing, freely. 2 weeks of falling asleep on the hammock sofa together. Never in the bedroom. Always with space between them. Always with her choice honored. 2 weeks of something that almost felt like normal. Until the night, everything shattered. Amara was reading in the garden. Her mother's roomy book, pages worn soft from repeated touching, when Jiwoo appeared with an expression that made her blood freeze. Where's Taehyun? Compound. Emergency meeting with the remaining clan heads. Jiwoo's voice was tight. You need to come. Now. What happened? Park Min-seo happened. The name meant nothing to Amara. Jiwoo's face said it should. Who? Taehyun's half-brother. The world tilted. He doesn't have a brother. Officially, no. Unofficially, Jiwoo was already moving toward the car. His father had another son. Older. From a woman he kept hidden for 20 years. Park Min-seo has been building power in Jeju. And tonight he's challenging Taehyun's right to lead the family. Amara's hands shook. Why now? Because word got out. About you. About Taehyun giving you property. About him dismantling his father's operations, freeing debtors, choosing love over empire. Jiwoo's jaw clenched. Min-seo is calling him weak, saying he's unfit to lead, that their father would be ashamed. Let him say it. Taehyun is stronger than. Min-seo has 6 of the 11 clans backing him. He's demanding Taehyun step down or face challenge. Jiwoo's eyes were dark. Traditional challenge. Blood challenge. One of them walks away. One of them doesn't. The book slipped from Amara's hands. A fight to the death. Yes. When? Tonight. At the compound. Witnesses from every major family. It's already been set in motion. Taehyun tried to refuse. But he can't. Because refusing means he loses everything. Amara was already running to the car. And if he loses everything, he can't protect the people he freed. Can't finish dismantling his father's work. Can't keep me safe. The thought came unbidden. Selfish. True. The compound was flooded with light and bodies. Black cars lined the drive like a funeral procession. Men in expensive suits smoking cigarettes and watching the house like spectators at an execution. The air tasted like anticipation and blood. Jiwoo led Amara through the back entrance. Through halls she'd once cleaned, now filled with dangerous men discussing odds and outcomes like this was sport. The library, Jiwoo whispered. He's preparing there. The library where Amara had stolen lunch breaks. Where Taehyun's mother's books lived. Where she'd first understood that violence and poetry could exist in the same hands. She pushed the door open. Taehyun stood at the window, overlooking the garden. His shirt was already off. Someone was wrapping his hands. White tape that would turn red. He looked like a weapon being loaded. You shouldn't be here, he said without turning. Neither should you. Amara crossed to him. You can walk away. Give him the empire. We can leave. And every person I freed gets reclaimed. Every debt I forgave gets reinstated. Every change I made gets unmade. His voice was flat. Min-seo is my father's true son. He'll restore everything. Make it worse. You'll die? Maybe. He finally looked at her. But if I win, it's over. No more challenges. No more questions about my right to lead. I can finish the work. Protect everyone. Including me. Especially you. His hand cupped her face. He knows about you. About what you mean to me. If I lose tonight, if he takes control, you're the first person he'll hurt to prove a point. Amara's throat closed. So you're fighting for me. I'm fighting for everyone. But yes, mostly you. His smile was sad. Selfish, isn't it? All this pretending to be noble. When really, I just want you safe enough to choose me every day for the rest of my life. That's not selfish. That's, her voice broke. That's love. Is it? Or is it just another form of control dressed up pretty? The question hung between them. Amara thought about her mother. About the boy saved becoming a man who saved others. About cycles breaking. About choosing who you became. It's love, she said firmly. Because you're giving me the choice. You could run. Take me with you. Keep me safe by hiding. But you're not. You're fighting so I can stay here freely. So I can own my life, and you can be part of it without owning me. His eyes closed. I might lose. You might. And if I do, then I'll survive. Like my mother did. Like you taught me to. She pulled his face down to hers. But you won't lose. Because you have something he doesn't. What? A reason to live instead of just survive. She kissed him. Hard. Desperate. Tasting like goodbye and prayer and demand all at once. When they broke apart, someone was knocking. It's time, Jiwoo said from the doorway. Taehyun pressed his forehead to Amara's one more time. If something happens, don't. The Hanok is yours. The accounts Jiwoo has access to. Half are in your name now. You'll be protected no matter what. Junho and Busan will help if you need to disappear. Everything is arranged. Stop planning my life without you in it. I'm planning for every contingency. It's what I do. His voice cracked. It's how I love you. She wanted to scream. Instead, she straightened his collar that wasn't there, smoothed her hands over his bare shoulders, let herself memorize the map of scars across his skin, evidence of a violent life lived in service of trying to be better. Win, she whispered. Not for the Empire. Not for honor. For me. Win and come back so I can keep teaching you how to be loved. Deal. He walked out, and Amara stood in the library surrounded by his mother's books, holding her breath, counting heartbeats. 3 beats. Pause. 3 beats. Waiting. The fight took place in the compound's central courtyard. Traditional. Brutal. No weapons except hands and will and the weight of family legacy. Amara watched from a window, Jiwoo beside her, both silent. Park Min-seo was bigger than Taehyun. Older. Harder. He moved like violence was his first language, and he spoke it fluently. But Taehyun moved like water. Like he'd learned that survival wasn't about being strongest. It was about being smartest. The first punch landed hard. Taehyun's head snapped back. Blood. Amara's hands pressed against the glass. Get up. Please get up. He got up. Circled. Min-seo laughed. Father was right about you. Too soft. Too weak. Letting a woman make you forget what we are. I know what we are. Taehyun's voice carried across the courtyard. I'm just choosing to be something different. Choosing. Min-seo spat blood. You think you get to choose? You think love makes you strong? No. Taehyun blocked the next hit. Countered. Love makes me human. That's stronger. They collided. 2 sons of a monster, fighting for the right to define what their father's legacy became. The fight was ugly. Vicious. Real. No choreography. No mercy. Just 2 men trying to destroy each other while dozens watched and wagered on the outcome. Amara couldn't breathe. Couldn't look away. Couldn't do anything except watch the man she loved bleeding in the dirt and praying to gods she wasn't sure she believed in. Please. 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 Taehyun went down. Min-seo stood over him. Stay down. I'll make it quick. No. Taehyun's voice was rough. I have someone waiting for me. Someone who believes I can be better. I'm not disappointing her. He swept Min-seo's legs. Rolled. Came up swinging. The next hit connected with Min-seo's jaw, a crack that echoed across stone. Min-seo stumbled. Taehyun didn't stop. Didn't hesitate. Just kept moving forward. Kept hitting. Kept choosing to survive because someone had given him a reason to. When it ended, Min-seo was on the ground. Unconscious. Defeated. Not dead. Taehyun had pulled the final blow. Chosen mercy over murder. The courtyard erupted. Some cheering. Some cursing. Money exchanging hands. But Taehyun just stood there, swaying, blood streaming from his nose and mouth, looking up at the window where Amara pressed her palm flat against the glass. He smiled. Crooked. Painful. Devastatingly real. I won. For you. I won. They cleaned him up in the library. Jiwoo handled the politics, accepting clan submissions, solidifying Taehyun's uncontested position, ensuring Min-seo would be exiled, not killed. Amara handled Taehyun. This is going to hurt, she said, pressing antiseptic to the cut above his eye. Worth it. His hand found her waist. Held on like she was the only thing keeping him upright. Totally worth it. You're an idiot. I'm your idiot. That's... She couldn't help it. She laughed. Through tears. Through terror. Through relief, so overwhelming it felt like drowning. That's the worst line you've ever said. I'm concussed. Give me a break. He pulled her closer. Did I mention I love you? About 7 times on the walk here. Not enough. His forehead pressed to her stomach. I love you. You're the reason I'm still breathing. You're the reason I chose mercy instead of murder. You're the reason. Stop. Her hands in his hair. Gentle. Just stop talking and let me take care of you. You've been taking care of me since the day you walked into my house. His voice muffled against her. I was just too stupid to realize it. She cleaned his wounds in silence. Counted his bruises. Memorized the evidence of what he'd endured to keep her safe. Min-seo was right about one thing. Taehyun said quietly. What? I am weak. When it comes to you. He looked up at her. I would burn this whole empire down if it meant you smiled at me one more time. I would walk away from everything I've built if you asked me to. I would. I know. She kissed his forehead. I know. And that's not weakness. That's the bravest thing you've ever done. Loving you. Choosing me over power. Over legacy. Over everything your father taught you to value. She knelt so they were eye level. You fought tonight. But you've been fighting for 3 years. Fighting to be different. Fighting to deserve me. Fighting to prove love can exist in houses built on blood. Can it? His voice was small. Vulnerable. Can we really build something real here? Or are we just pretending the foundation isn't rotten? Amara thought about her mother's carved words. About Junho's restaurant in Busan. About the way pain was just a chapter, not the whole story. The foundation is rotten, she said honestly. Your father's cruelty. My mother's suffering. All the violence that brought us together. She touched his face. But we're not building on that foundation. We're building something new. On top of it. In spite of it. His eyes were wet. That's a much better metaphor than mine. I know. I'm smarter than you. You really are. He laughed. Winced. Ow. Don't make me laugh. Broken rib. 3 broken ribs. A fractured cheekbone. Possible concussion. She stood. You're sleeping here tonight. I'm not moving you. Here. The library. Your mother's books. Where this, whatever this is, started for me. She grabbed blankets from a cabinet. Where I first realized that monsters could read poetry. I'm not a monster. No. She arranged pillows on the sofa. You're a man who was raised by one and chose to become something else. There's a difference. He let her settle him on the sofa. Let her tuck blankets around him like he was something precious instead of dangerous. Stay, he said. Please. Just stay with me. I'm not going anywhere. She curled up beside him, careful of his injuries. Close enough to feel his heartbeat against her back. Amara. Yes. Thank you. For what? For seeing me. For staying. For believing I could be better. His arm tightened around her waist. For loving me even though I'm broken. We're both broken. She threaded her fingers through his. But maybe broken things can fit together. Maybe the cracks are where the light gets in. That's poetry. It's truth. Outside, the compound settled into quiet. The clans dispersed. The threat neutralized. The empire secured under the leadership of a man who was slowly, painfully, transforming it into something that resembled redemption. Inside, 2 people lay in the dark, breathing in sync, healing together, choosing each other despite everything that said they shouldn't. I'm going to marry you, Taehyun murmured, half asleep. Someday, when I've earned it, when I'm good enough, when you're already good enough. Amara's voice was soft. You've been good enough since the day you gave my mother's daughter a job and a chance. You just didn't know it yet. Yeah. He fell asleep holding her. She stayed awake, counting his heartbeats. Not 3 beats and pause. Just steady. Constant. Alive. The man she loved was alive. The empire was secured. The foundation was rotten, but they were building something new. And tomorrow she would tell him about the letter she'd found. The one in her mother's handwriting. The one she discovered in the Hannock's safe beside the deed. The one that changed everything. But tonight was for survival and relief and the quiet grace of 2 people learning that love didn't fix everything. It just made the broken parts worth carrying. Morning came soft through the library windows. Amara awoke to the smell of old books and the warmth of Taehyun's breath against her neck. His arm was still around her waist, possessive even in sleep, but gentle, like he was holding something precious. She watched him for a moment. The bruises blooming purple across his cheekbone. The split lip. The white tape still wrapped around his knuckles. Evidence of what he'd endured. What he'd survived. For her. For the chance to keep choosing her. His eyes opened. Focused on her face. Smiled despite the pain it caused. You're still here. Where else would I be? I don't know. Sometimes I wake up and think the last 3 years were a dream. His hand moved to her face, traced her features like he was memorizing them. That you're not real. That nothing this good could actually happen to someone like me. You're real. I'm real. This is real. She kissed his bruised knuckles. Broken and messy and imperfect. But real. Best kind of real. They lay there as the sun climbed higher. Neither speaking. Just existing in the space they'd carved out between violence and tenderness. Finally, Amara sat up. There's something I need to show you. She retrieved the letter from her bag, the one she'd found in the Hannock's safe, folded carefully, her mother's handwriting covering both sides of worn paper. Taehyun sat up slowly, wincing. What is it? A letter. My mother wrote it. 20 years ago, right before she left Korea. Amara's hand shook slightly. It was addressed to someone named the boy who will inherit. She must have left it in the estate. You must have found it when you were cataloging your father's things. His expression shifted. I did. 7 years ago. I didn't know. I didn't realize it was meant for me until I'd already read it. You put it in the safe? With my deed. Why? Because it felt like he stopped. Started again. It felt like she was speaking across time, telling me what I needed to hear. I kept it because it gave me hope that maybe I could be different. And then when I found you, when I brought you here, I put it with the deed because they belong together. Her words and her daughter's freedom. Amara's throat tightened. She unfolded the letter. Read aloud. To the boy who will inherit. You don't know me. By the time you read this, I'll be gone from this house and this country. But I'm writing to you anyway because someone needs to say this. Your father is not a good man. You probably already know that. You're 8 years old now. Old enough to see. Old enough to understand that the fear in people's eyes when he walks by isn't respect. It's terror. I don't know what you'll become. Maybe you'll follow in his footsteps. Maybe you'll become even worse. Maybe the cruelty in this house will soak into your bones until there's nothing else left. But maybe you'll choose differently. I'm writing this on the chance that you will. On the hope that one day, you'll wake up and realize that inheritance doesn't have to be a prison. That you can take what your father built and transform it into something that heals instead of harms. It won't be easy. People will call you weak. Soft. They'll say you're betraying your blood, disgracing your name. They'll test you and challenge you, and try to break you back into the shape they expect. Don't let them. I saved someone today. A boy not much younger than you. It cost me everything. My job, my future here, my safety. But when I looked at him, I saw something your father tried to destroy. Hope. The belief that tomorrow could be different than today. That one person's courage could change a life. I'm leaving this letter in the place where I slept. Where I carved my name and my promise to remember who I am despite everything this house tried to make me. If you ever read this, if you ever stand in this room and wonder if change is possible, know that it is. Know that I chose courage even when it hurt. Know that the boy I saved will go on to save others. That kindness multiplies. That one good choice can echo through decades. You don't have to be your father. You get to choose. And if you choose light instead of darkness, if you choose to build instead of destroy, then everything I suffered here will have been worth it. Because it means this house produced something beautiful after all. Choose well, boy who will inherit. Choose better than the man who came before you. Grace. Silence filled the library. Taehyun was crying. Silent tears streaming down his bruised face. Hands shaking as Amara finished reading. She knew, he whispered. She knew what I'd become. What I'd have to face. She left me. His voice broke completely. She left me permission to be different. Proof that someone believed I could be. Amara set down the letter. Took his hands. You honored her. Everything you've done. Freeing the debtors. Protecting Junho. Bringing me here. Fighting last night to keep the empire from reverting back. You've been answering her letter for 7 years. I wanted to be worthy of her faith. Worthy of you. He looked at their joined hands. Did I manage it? You're managing it. Every day? Every choice. She squeezed gently. You're not done becoming. None of us are. But you're trying. That's what she asked for. That's what matters. What do we do now? His voice was small. Uncertain. The empire is secured. Minseo is exiled. Champa has withdrawn. The immediate threats are gone. So what comes next? Amara smiled. We live. Messy and imperfect and real. She stood, pulled him up gently. We finish transforming your father's empire into something that looks like redemption. We visit Junho in Busan and let him cook for us. We learn how to be together without crisis forcing us close. That sounds, he laughed, painful but genuine. That sounds terrifyingly normal. Good. You need normal. She led him toward the door. We both do. Where are we going? The Hannock. Your face needs actual medical attention. Then you're sleeping for 12 hours in a real bed. Then, she paused at the threshold. Then we're going to the garden. And I'm going to plant jasmine where you burned the Champa warehouse's records. Something beautiful growing from what was destroyed. His hand tightened in hers. Poetic. I learned from your mother's books. They walked through the mansion, past the parlor where a glass had cracked and everything changed, past the kitchen where staff were preparing breakfast, and bowed respectfully to the chairman who'd just secured his rule, past the safe room where Amara had once hidden in a red dress that felt like a lifetime ago. The red dress. She'd almost forgotten about it. Wait here, she told Taehyun. She retrieved it from where it hung in her old quarters. The room she'd occupied for 3 years, now empty of her presence, but full of memories. The silk was still perfect, still crimson, still dangerous. She brought it to the garden where Taehyun waited in the morning light. What are you doing? He asked. Letting go. She held up the dress. This was the woman who wanted to be seen, who thought being noticed meant being chosen, who wore red hoping someone would finally look at her. I see you now. I know. She smiled. But I don't need this anymore. I don't need to dress up danger and call it freedom. I don't need to perform being seen. She folded the dress carefully, placed it in a box. I'm keeping it. Not wearing it. Not burning it. Just acknowledging who I was. Who I had to be to get here. She looked at him. She was brave. That woman in the red dress. She walked into a trap and survived. She deserves to be remembered. She does. Taehyun crossed to her. But I prefer this version. The one who plants jasmine and reads poetry and teaches monsters how to be human. I prefer this version too. He kissed her. Gentle this time. Not desperate. Not goodbye. Hello. A beginning that felt like coming home. When they broke apart, Amara said, Your mother's letter. She asked you to choose well. To choose better. I'm trying. You're succeeding. She took his hand. And I'm choosing you back. Every day. Every mess. Every broken part. I'm choosing this. Even knowing what I am. What I've done. Especially knowing. She led him toward the hammock. Toward home. Because you're not just what you've done. You're also what you're becoming. And I want to be there for all of it. 6 months later. The hammock's garden was full of jasmine. White flowers climbing the walls, spilling over the fence, filling the air with a sweetness that almost masked the salt from the distant sea. Amara sat in the garden with her mother's roomy book, reading in the afternoon light. Taehyun was in the kitchen attempting soup again. She could hear him cursing softly, hear the clatter of pots, hear the evidence of a man learning domestic tenderness. Her phone buzzed. Zainab, sister, the flowers at Mama's grave are so beautiful this week. I don't know who keeps sending them, but they never stop. White roses. Her favorite. Someone must have loved her very much. Amara smiled through tears. Amara, someone did. Someone does. I'll tell you about it someday. Love you. Zainab, love you more. Come visit soon. Amara, soon. I promise. She set down the phone. Taehyun appeared in the doorway. Apron on, wooden spoon in hand, looking absolutely ridiculous and devastatingly domestic. Soup's ready. Or soup adjacent. Or he winced. It's hot liquid with vegetables. That counts, right? It counts. She stood, crossed to him. Everything counts when you're trying. He pulled her close. Kissed her forehead. I love you, he said. Like he said every day. Like he'd keep saying until the words were smooth as river stones. I love you too. Like she answered every day. Like she'd keep answering until they both believed it was permanent. They went inside, ate terrible soup and laughed about it. Made plans to visit Busan next week. Junho's restaurant, his family, the life that had grown from Grace's courage. Talked about the charitable foundation Taehyun was building, funded by his father's empire, dedicated to freeing people trapped in debt and exploitation. Named after Amara's mother. The Grace Initiative. She'd be proud of you, Taehyun said quietly. Of both of us. Of what we built from all that pain. She'd be proud of you, Amara corrected. You're the one who changed. Who chose light when darkness was easier. We both changed. He squeezed her hand. We're both still changing. Good. That means we're still alive. Very alive. He smiled. Crooked. Real. The smile of a man who'd fought his way through hell and found something worth keeping on the other side. Very, very alive. Outside, jasmine bloomed. Inside, two people learned that happily ever after wasn't a destination. It was a choice made every morning. A choice to plant flowers in poisoned soil. A choice to believe love could exist in houses built on bones. A choice to honor the ghosts by living fully. Grace had carved her defiance into a windowsill 20 years ago. Her daughter was carving joy into every day. And somewhere between the violence and the tenderness, the guilt and the grace, the broken past and the healing present, love had learned to grow. Messy, imperfect, real, the best kind of love there was. If you're still here, heart full and eyes wet, thank you. Thank you for trusting me with these 2 hours of your life. Here's my question for you. Have you ever had to choose between the safety of what you knew and the risk of what you deserved? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. Remember what I said about my father? About stories not paying? If this story touched something in you that felt untouchable, subscribe. Not just for me, but for the person scrolling tonight, heartbroken and desperate for proof they'll survive. You could be the reason they find this. One more thing, where did you watch this from? Drop your city below. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Until the next one, take care of your heart. Plant jasmine in the difficult places. Choose better than the people who came before you. And remember, they can break the body, but never the spirit.